Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's G from Happiness and Crafting. So this morning I have been making some lovely little ruffles. Now I didn't intend making these, but I am making a little really super simple folio that I wanted to show you how to make, which I will do in the next video. And I wanted some little sort of like ruffles to go on it. So these are the ones that I started with. I did actually colour some seam binding this morning, which is beautiful. I'm loving the colour. Two different colours there. So this is the one that I was using, that I wanted to use on the folio, and the brownie one, which are lovely. So I just made some ruffles, and I thought I would make some more in different ribbons. So they're just sort of like ribbon ruffles, really simple to make. Now these are done on the sewing machine, so I've got lots and lots of organza ribbon, so I've just used some of that. I have used obviously some seam binding. This is some sort of like trim as well, which is really nice, and I've got some very shiny, so these would look absolutely gorgeous on sort of like Christmas tags and things like that, or wrapped around a present. I think they're really lovely. This is a little spotty one here, which works just as well. Some brown ones, and then the other thing, as I was going on, I was just sort of like seeing what else I could do with them, and I've made some scrap fabric ruffles as well, and I am loving them. So I'm going to show you how to do these as well. So I'll show you how simple it is to make these, and I'll make these. So we're going to go over to the sewing machine in a minute and show you how to do it. And what I have done, I've put them on some paper. Now I make my ruffles on paper. They're really simple, because trying to ruffle this up under a machine on its own is an absolute nightmare. It would really drive you mad. So all as I'm doing, you put them on there, you sew them onto the paper, and it just rips off like that, so it's perforated. I'm not 100% sure. I think I might have shown you this before in a video, but I can't find it, so I thought I would just show you again. And then because it sort of like perforates the paper, they just pull off like that, which I just love. So simple, and you just pull them off like this. You can actually keep them on the paper if you want to do, and pop them in a little file, a little cover, keep them, or you can just take them off the paper and they just slip off like that. Really simple, and I am loving them. And then you've got some little scrap pieces of paper. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go over to the sewing machine. I have got some scrap fabric bits here, so these are just little bits that I've got. Doesn't matter what you want to do. So I'm going to show you how to make these ones, and this is just beautiful. Loving this. And I've just got some of my rose trim, which I've just cut off 3 little roses and popped along it, and I just think they are lovely. Loving them. So I will also show you how to just do these ones like this, because they are really easy. And if you're going to start doing it, just get all your bits of ribbon out. Doesn't matter what they look like. These are all bits that I haven't used, that I don't use, but I think that if we use some of our recycled tags here, you could just add some of this to your tags, and I think it would look really lovely. And especially, I just love this one. Look at that. These are beautiful. So it's all sort of like nice and scraps and recycled bits and pieces, but I think they look beautiful. So I'm going to show you how to do this. So I will just flip the camera around and get ready at my machine, and I will be there in 2 seconds. I am at my machine. I've got a piece of copy paper, and I have my organza ribbon. Now I've got it set up so I can actually see in the camera to make sure we are close enough. Now I'm going to do it with this light pink, and I'm also going to do it with a darker ribbon, just to make sure you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just got it on a normal setting. I've got a little screwdriver, but you can use any sort of like little tool that you've got, because what we want to do is just push that underneath like that without getting things caught. and just wrinkle it up just a little bit. So I'm going to get started. So I'm just going to push that underneath like that, and then just go along, just go slowly, push it underneath, and make sure you don't get the, obviously whatever you're poking it underneath with, stuck under the needle. So just go really slowly like that, which is, I just love it. I think it's really good. This organza ribbon's quite slippy, so push that underneath, make sure we gather it up like that, just however you like it. I'm going to show you how you can sort of try and do it nice and neatly, but I'm not really bothered about it neatly. I prefer it sort of be all wrinkled up and make it all look nice and sort of like scruffy, instead of neat and tidy. So I'm hoping you can see this properly. And just pop that through like that, and then we're done right to the end. Lift it up, and then we can just, oops, with help if I lift the needle up, just chop that off, and then we've got our lovely ribbon. Now I'm going to show you this better when we go back to the table. Now I'm going to show you with a darker ribbon. So I've got, oopsie daisy, I have a darker organza ribbon here like this one. It's a nice purple one, so I'm going to use this one because I want to see if it will be any better to show you. I'm not sure how the lighter one will come out. So I'm going to just pop that on there, click that down, pop your needle in, and then just so. So to get it, some people use a fork and twist it, but you can just fold that over. If you want it nice and neat, and you want to fold it over and then push it under the one in front like that, and then it will just hold it nicely. Push that underneath and sew it, push it underneath like that. Whoops, missed that one. Push it under, take it and push it under. So you can do this with any ribbons, anything you've got. We're not very neat at this one. There we go. Just push it so it just meets underneath, it just folds underneath the first one. So push that one underneath. There we go. Lift the needle up. I will just chop that off. So I will show you that when we are back at the desk. But what I would like to do now, oopsie daisy, flyaway paper, I'm going to show you how to do the little patchworky one, not patchworky one. So I've got my little bits in here, the little scrap one. So I hope I'm not too close. Let's pull these bits out like that. It's so much easier doing it on some paper. So I'm going to pop that underneath. I'm going to take a little piece of this. So let's just start off with a little piece of, sorry, my hand's right in the way there. I'm going to put this down this side so I'm not crossing over all the time. So I've got a little piece of the white just to start it off. So it's the same thing, we will just wrinkle it up like that, and before you get to the end, add another piece. So we're just going to add another piece of purple, push that right in, make sure we've grabbed it, take another piece, push it in like that. So we're just sewing all of these lovely little bits of fabric together. A little thin piece here, stuff it in there and just sew it like that, push it in. Let's have a little bit of lace in. We'll have another lovely piece of lace in there, I think. Oopsie daisy, I missed that one. Let's go back. Push that in. Make sure that's nice and tight in there. Let's get another piece. Push that in. When they're wide enough, you can actually take it from the sides and push it in. Push it either side. Let's take a piece of this. This is a funny old piece of sort of fabric. Let's just pop that in there. Let's see what that will look like. Take another piece like this. I just love these. You can do it with smaller pieces if you want to, or bigger pieces. Push that up. Let's have a little bit of lacy lace. Nice piece of white lace in there. And then you just embellish it. Once you've done this, you can take your, if you've got some little flowers and all sorts of things like that, you can just embellish it afterwards. And all as I did was stick them on. Let's have another piece of nice pink lacy bits on here. So instead of having, this is sort of like doing like a little snippet roll, isn't it? So instead of having them sewing onto an actual piece of fabric, you just have them separated, so you can just tear them off the paper. And I just love it. I think they are lovely. There's a little bit here. Let's pop that in there. Oops. Go on, in you go. So you can have thick and thin bits, and I love it. Let's just have this little bit of purple at the end. There we go. Open that up. So I'm hoping you can, that's a good view for you. So that's what they look like, if you can see, like that. So I'm going to just go back over to the table and we will check it out, and I shall show you what they look like. Alright, see you in a minute. Okay, so back on our table now. So these are what they look like. I did another one, and I'm just absolutely loving them. So I'm hoping that you can see what I was doing on the machine. And again, to take them off, we just pull it down, because they are perforated where you've sewn onto the paper, like that. So try and do it on sort of almost like quite a small stitch, just so you get a good perforation. And look at that, just a gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So I am going to be doing lots more of these. So it's another fabulous idea to do with our scraps, like this. Just pull them off, they come off so easily, like that. To there, and then we've got the purple organza one, and then we've got the pink organza, and they just rip off. Look at that, just lovely. Now again, if you wanted to change your thread colour, I've just got a brown one on here, but I'm not going to keep changing the threads every time I change the colour, unless you're doing something really, really pretty. But I don't think it really matters too much. See how easy they come off. Pop those bits to the side, and look, lovely. I love them. Just so shabby, these ones, aren't they? So I'm going to keep these in a nice big bundle. This is this one. So I'm going to just show you how we can embellish them. Okay, oops, I've got a little bit of paper on there, so it doesn't really matter back or front. Can see tiny little bits of paper, but if you just pull those off, you can stick that bit onto your paper or onto whatever project you're doing. So if we lay that out like that, I've got my little box here with all my little rose trim and bits and pieces in, so we can just pick whichever one that we want. Now I'm going to go with my favourite, which is the purple. So depending on how much rose trim you've got, you could pop it all the way down through the middle like that. Wouldn't that look lovely? Depending on what you're doing. If you did a nice, actually that would look nice along the spine, wouldn't it, of a journal. Look at that, how pretty is that? But what I'm going to do, I'm going to just do the same as I did on this one, because again you can just cut them off and use these little bits like that. You can use the whole thing, so many different ways you can use it. So I'm just going to cut some bits off here. Where's my little scissors here? So I normally just do it in threes, because I think an odd number looks better than an even number, like that. So let's just, doesn't really matter, I just chop them. You don't have to be too particular how you do it. Now I'm going to get my glue. Now I've had this sitting upside down like that, just so the glue can come out. A little bit of glue on there, and I'm just going to stick one on top. Now you can put buttons and all sorts of things. I think it's probably easier if I stick it on the back of here like that. Buttons and things. You could probably, actually, I wonder if you could stick little paper embellishments on here as well. It all depends what you want to use it for, doesn't it? I'm just going to go, oops, down here like that. I'll put one on the end. Oh, I cut just enough, didn't I? Pop that one just there like that. And again, you can sew, you could probably sew, hand sew. I would hand sew some little buttons on there. Little gems you could pop on there as well. But look at that, how simple is that? And it's very, very quick, because it's just a little bit of sewing on your machine. Super simple, using up your scraps and then sticking just a little bit of an embellishment on there, which is lovely. Let's take all these little bits off, and then we've got our lovely, take the paper off. This is the one here, this is the one that I try to sort of like make a little bit tidy, where you just sort of like fold them over, and then this was sort of like the more scruffier one. I prefer it like this, but I suppose it depends what sort of project you're doing. But that looks quite nice like that, doesn't it? And again, look, I've got lots and lots of different sort of like textures and fabrics. You can do it with a piece of fabric. Strip of fabric would look really good, but I am just loving them. So there we go, nice and shiny bits of fabric, bits of spotty, all sorts. So there we go, guys. That was not what I was intending to do this morning. But that's what I have been doing. This is, so the next video is going to be showing you how I use it. So this is the one that I'm going to be using in my next project. So there we go, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you can see it properly on the machine and it wasn't too sort of shadowy. But I'm hoping you will get the idea on how it's done anyway. So thank you so much for joining me. Please stay safe, take care, and I will see you soon. Alright guys, bye bye.